Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to get started with this work session very quickly. This is a joint session between the HHS Committee and the Government Operations Fiscal Policy Committee, and this is a work session on our community grants reform process. Everybody is getting settled. Excellent. First, I want to thank Council Grants Manager, Legislative Analyst Carolyn Chen for all your extraordinary work. You have been very busy working with all council offices in the executive branch, and Mr. Medellino, Director of OMB. Thank you for being here and for also working so collaboratively. We've been working on this reform process for 2 years now, and really do appreciate all the feedback that we have received today from our community partners, including a public hearing here on the council on October 9th, 2018. And so today we're going to develop a vision and strategy for the community grants process, which I think we all can agree needs overhauling. I want to thank the Office of Legislative Oversight also for the review of the community grants process and its September 2018 report outlining recommendations which have informed the work that we're about to embark on. I think that the packet points out several goals that should be considered as we do this work. No doubt increasing support for the county's nonprofit partners to increase capacity for organizational structure and financial sustainability to close gaps in service for our residents. Centralizing and consolidating redundant review and contract execution processes to allow stronger alignment of programs with county priorities and departmental priorities. Decreasing administrative burden of departments of contracting, monitoring, and reporting of community grant contracts. Increasing transparency, accountability, and metrics for progress of delivery of services provided by nonprofit partners for county residents. And leveraging the county's competitive advantage to coordinate, stimulate, and expand public sector investment at the federal and state levels, increase foundation and external agency collaboration, and funding support in private sector partnership. Finally, I would say that I agree that we need a central one-stop shop to pull all our resources together and create a streamlined, efficient grants process. So one of the things that we are going to do is draft legislation to make sure that we're able to capture all of these very important goals to be able to establish a centralized grants unit. Before we start the session, I'd like to turn over to my colleague, Councilmember Gabe Albornoz, who chairs the HHS committee, who obviously has quite a number of these grants under its jurisdiction, and that's why we've always worked collaboratively with the Government Operations Committee as well as HHS. Councilmember Albornoz.
Thank you, Madam President and Madam Chair. Appreciate the collaboration. So as a former nonprofit executive, I used to apply for Montgomery County Council grants. As a former director of the Department of Recreation, I administered and managed the contracts on that side. And was also involved in some of the decision-making over the years. And now, from this fresh perspective, it's totally full circle in terms of where we are. Carolyn, you did a phenomenal job with this packet, and I know you did your due diligence and worked very hard to not just meet with all of us, but all of the key stakeholders, which was a significant heavy lift. And this obviously is going to have to be phased in. There are elements that we want to make sure are taken care of as we deliberately and thoughtfully move forward and ensure that there's no potential for the loss in continuity of service. I appreciate very much the leaderships of my colleagues from the former council who did a lot of work in this space collaboratively through the HHS committee and the GO committee. And I do think that the recommendations set forth in this packet are remarkable and exactly where we need to be as an institution. As I heard the council president say the other day in a different committee session, the devil's always in the details, but I'm confident that with the right leadership in place in partnership with the executive branch and full buy-in from the executive branch, that we can get to a better place than we are now. So look forward to this conversation and appreciate the really hard work that got us where we are today.
Thank you. Director Medellino, anything you'd like to add before we get started?
I would just first like to thank you, Madam Chair, for your advice and direction on this throughout this whole process. I know I'm coming at this relatively late since you said this has been a 2-year process, and I've only been here 8 months. So Ms. Chen has been very helpful meeting with us, and as well as Ms. McMillan in providing us guidance. So I know the executive very much wants to come up with a better way to do this, and one that is focused on reviewing outcomes too, so that we can see what we're getting for this money and how we can help the grantees do a better job at providing services to the public, because they are a key partner in delivering all of these services.
We do have that advantage. The County Executive Elrich was part of this ongoing conversation, so I know that he's committed to doing this as well. Wonderful. So Ms. Chen, I'm going to turn it over to you so you can walk us through.
Needed a drink. Is there only water in there?
I'm filibustering a little bit so she can swallow. All right.
All right. Thank you, everybody. What we have here, copies in front of you, you have the memorandum, which will be used as a discussion guide. The presentation is what we'll start off with. Discussion guide is questions that you can read through as we go through the presentation, and then just things that pop in your head, just stop me and we'll go forward. For people who are here, we have black and white copies over there by the door, so everyone should have them. Okay, cool. So I'll just go through, and again, just stop me if you have any questions. All right? Cool. So today's goals, we want to discuss a vision and strategy to improve the community grants process. I'm going to just stare at you the whole time. Should I go this way?
I was looking.
Oh, let's do this one. Okay, you're right. That's smarter. That's a lot smarter. Today's goals are 3. We want to discuss a vision and strategy to improve the community grants process. 2, we want to review the current process and present a centralized grants office concept. And finally, to determine actions and timeline for this fiscal year. So let's start off from the beginning. I'm calling it Grants 1.0. This is a cycle, quarter 1, 2, 3, 4. The current community grants process starts with a January deadline. Then we have a deadline for the grants advisory group to apply and to be appointed in January. Then we have applicant workshops where we go around the county and give information on how to apply. Then we provide technical assistance to the nonprofits directly in order to help them apply, and also do site visits before the January deadline. So the organizations have a chance to engage on the process before the actual deadline. Next, then we have trainings for the grants advisory group. This was 6 to 8 volunteers. Program agency training. So this is any of the umbrella collaborations that we have to help review: Interagent Commission of Homelessness, Montgomery County Food Council, WorkSource Montgomery. Then we have an application review and interviews. And then in March we have the county executive recommendations that come out with the budget. Then we have deliberations, and we review what comes on the county executive recommendations, and then the county council makes their recommendations in May. And then we push for a July start for all the contracts, and we basically go through contracting from the end of second quarter to third quarter. This is Grants 1.0. The current process is structured like this: community grants in the entire county. So just think a little bit bigger right now. We have the CE and the CC, County Executive and County Council offices running their grants. We have community grant contracts to nonprofits that way. This is what we talked about today. Let's move up. We've got County Department A, B, and C each looking for federal and state grants in order for their department to get and give out or contract. Then they also contract with nonprofits to deliver their services when needed. And then at the end, we add to them a community grants contract to nonprofits. And in the middle of all this, at each level, we are reviewing and reporting, and reviewing and reporting, and we even review and report to ourselves.
Reporting.
Next, so I'm skipping to Grants 3.0, so just fast forward, and promise I'll go back to 2.0, so don't freak out. So let's think about the concept of a county grants office. Not a decision maker, just administrative and management to execute a standard review and evaluation. Now we can look at all the sources separately: federal grants, state grants, other public sector grants, foundation grants, private partner sector partnerships. We've now expanded the world of funding sources. And it'll be the responsibility of this county grants office to research, source, qualify, and track all of these funding sources for the county as a whole. Now we've got Department A, B, C, and I threw in a D. They will work with the county grants office to provide technical assistance and review management. So whatever the department needs in terms of to increase their capacity to secure more federal and state grants, that office would be in charge of helping them. Next, we work with county admin departments. I made up this word admin. We're talking about procurement, finance, risk management, attorney, all of those. Work with them to execute, disperse, and track these contracts. Next, we've got the nonprofit community, which now we can contract directly with the departments, and they monitor and evaluate. This is to the left. The nonprofit community will also have access to this county grants office, where we can provide technical assistance and training as well for grant writing, for financial, all that good stuff. Finally, in this county department D, this is where you can engage with the community directly. And this, in our memo, I said we can increase the neighborhood matching grant program so that you can engage directly with the community. They're not nonprofits. They don't have all the paperwork. This is a way that we can actually increase the level of engagement for services given by individuals in the community. Grants 3.0. So how do we get there? Right now, we're at Grants 1.0. This was this past year and before. We have a decentralized system for grants administration and management, and we're outputs based. How many people do we serve? How many organizations do we serve? We want to move to Grants 3.0, fiscal year 22 and 23, where we move to a centralized system and outcomes based. We're going to give us 3 years to do that. It's called Grants 2.0, and during that point, we'll build capacity. So what does that mean? Now we're at Grants 2.0. So we are now shifting the process back to the budget, the original county executive budget cycle. So starting now, with finishing up by March, we'll review legacy community grants to enter multi-year contracts to deliver services. We'll do that now in order to get that done by March. So July 2020, it's all ready to go. No disruption in service. We'll follow existing departmental budget review timeline, right? So that you have that contract date, and we can include a set of community grants funding level during March to say this is for the competitive grant process, and we can include it for county priorities. So that will be during the budget cycle. And then we can begin the grants office planning. Next is we'll execute year-round competitive grants in priority areas. So after this vote in May, we will be able to launch a quarterly grants deadline with different priorities, which should take a lot of the contracting bottleneck that's happening right now in July, should alleviate that. These will be for new organizations and programs that enter in a one-year contract. We can have rolling contract start dates so that we don't have everything starting on July 2021, and we can finalize the grants office structure and staffing to launch in July 2021. Just to review today's goals, we discussed a vision and strategy to improve the community grants process. We reviewed current process and presented a centralized grants office concept. Now we want to determine the actions and timeline for fiscal year 21. So let's operationalize. There's 3 things here. We want to collaborate with the CAO's office, OMB, procurement, everybody else at DTS to shift legacy community grants to multi-year contracts. We can start now. Through September, at least get that timeline set for this upcoming year. Determine the competitive grants timeline and begin nonprofit community engagement. That we can just set the timeline now for the next, again, 12 months in order to get this information out. And we will reconvene as a joint session. It's already scheduled for October 24th, 2019 to get an update on where both offices are. And finally, I just want to thank everybody that helped with this presentation and with this concept. And now I'm ready for questions.
All right. Councilmember Albornoz, I see you're reaching for your light.
I do, yeah. So the framework is really outstanding, for sure. Just a couple of other elements based on conversations we've had, Ms. Chen. So, and just for context, right now, the departments who are tasked with the management of the majority of these contracts are stretched pretty thin. And so I know in recreation, as an example, you have one full-time person and one person who works 2/3 of the time monitoring not just the grant contracts and the contracts through Excel Beyond the Bell, but also the contracts that the department administers for things like pool supplies, and there's over 1,000 of them. And so I think the capacity within each of those respective agencies is obviously compromised, and I know HHS is doing the best they can with the resources that they have, but those folks are not always in the best position to be able to do everything necessary to track the administration and accounting, let alone the outcome measurements that come with the monitoring of these contracts. And so we'll obviously have to think through whether, as we create a new entity, those folks who are currently within those departments would shift over to this new entity, or would we want to bring new personnel on board that could then work collaboratively within the respective agencies. But one of the benefits of having those folks within those agencies is that there is fewer degrees of separation, so they are in a position to talk more directly to the folks that are on the staff and that are on the ground, that see firsthand how things are going. And so written within this process as a new entity, there does obviously need to continue to be a link back to those departments who are the most directly responsible for or are in the best position to observe what's happening and kind of connect dots. Just something to kind of reinforce as we sort of flesh out. And as far as outcomes, outcomes are obviously critically important, but when dealing with social services, there is some gray. And so as an example, as we think through organizations that the county is currently supporting, there are some institutions or organizations that have a unique mission or are serving a unique population that not very many other organizations may be serving. And so they may not have the same level of sophistication as our more established nonprofit organizations, but are providing not just an important direct service, but their presence within the community has value all onto itself. And so I think as we develop metrics within outcomes, it's important to capture that somewhere. And as we're tracking and evaluating which grants we're going to provide support for, beyond the obvious of the direct services that are being provided, I think we do need to take that into account as we're making decisions moving forward. And just so, as I know there are some organizations, lots of organizations who are anxious right now about the direction we're going in as a county and want to remain important partners. So that's just sort of another issue that I think we need to think through. Two other random issues, but I don't know if the Office of Community Partnerships as currently constructed would make sense as a potential landing spot or an expansion thereof. So as an example, our Volunteer Services Office, there's a lot of crossover and synergy with this work. And I think obviously the focus here is more on administration, but I think expanding that a little bit to get more bang for our buck and to expand our reach to support organizations, I think could also be very helpful. So as we think through the development, that could be another potential partner as we move forward. And I also want to acknowledge the important roles that our boards and commissions play to the county. So we obviously have boards and commissions that are identified to help support specific subject matter areas, seniors, folks with disabilities, children, youth, and families. And so I do think that there needs to be a mechanism for those boards and commissions which are already constructed to somehow weigh in, maybe from a policy perspective as we look at setting priorities. And then last two things for now, the council president showed tremendous leadership in helping to develop the Children's Opportunity Fund, which a number of us worked on. And the goal of that initially was to create a time and space where the policymakers who had the most direct responsibility for the outcomes of children, youth, and families in the county, the superintendent, the president of the county council, the county executive could be there to advise, to make general policy recommendations that could then help be leveraged to bring in third-party funding. So I think having a clear angle here where we do create the time and space to figure out where those gaps are could also be part of the mission or objectives of this organization, because they're going to have a really unique and important perch to see where the holes are from a policy and programmatic standpoint. But those are some of my initial thoughts as we look to develop this very exciting initiative, and we're going to be very supportive and do everything we can to get the organizations the resources they need. But Mr. Madaleno, I didn't know if you had any thoughts or comments on what's been proposed, or can share with us any recent conversations you may have had with the county executive or the CAO regarding this effort, but just some clarity on where you guys stand on all this would be really helpful.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So in the conversations with county executive, I think he shares, as the council president mentioned, he shares general frustration with how it is run, while at the same time great appreciation for the organizations that get the money and all the things that they're doing in our community. So trying to improve one without harming the other. In the conversations we've had, he is very much on board with the concept that we work collaboratively in the budget process to establish a funding level and priorities. I think you and I discussed before the non-departmental accounts. The current thinking is if we did an NDA for each one of the 7 outcomes, and then together, as we go through the budget process, we would determine how much money would go towards those items. So you could pick, from a safe neighborhood standpoint, for example, you're going to put in X amount of money that will go to grants in that area, and then you'd pick an advisory panel that had expertise in that area. So you're not trying to pick a general grant committee that is trying to decide between all these different groups where they may not have experience in that segment. So sort of the whole idea of let's pick out how much money we want to spend on grants and how we want it to go. This year, the council president partnered with the county executive on the early childhood initiative. In some ways, that's kind of a model for this, right? Pick how much money you want to go, pick a process to then go to that function, pick a process and a team to make the decisions, and then let them proceed. I believe the county executive is completely on board with the concept that came up with one deadline is very difficult. And in fact, I think we would all agree that summer programs have had a very difficult time getting funding because of where the deadline hits and the fact that the fiscal year starts in the middle of the summer. If you had multiple deadlines, that would help with those organizations and help let people get involved at various points during the year, as opposed to just having that one moment where if they're not in by whatever it was this year, January 23rd, something like that, you're out of luck. So those are all very strong. I think he believes strongly in that. I think both the executive and the council would be wise to consider a small set aside for however you want to call it, special projects, emergencies that come up. I mean, we can all decide at the beginning of the year that, we definitely want to put this money in these groups, not knowing 6 months from now we're dealing with an issue that's popped up that doesn't neatly fit into any of these, and so that there is some flexibility for both the council and the administration to respond to a need that pops up that wasn't on anyone's radar and that doesn't fit neatly within our process to help, maybe if it's a new group or a new issue, sort of rise that, get funding to that. I don't know from the conversation with Ms. Chen about, we have not yet settled on should it be a central grants office? Would we pull in people from the different departments who've been working on this and create that effort? I don't think we're there yet in our thinking. I think we want to be very cognizant of, as Carolyn said in her presentation, grants 1.0, 2.0, that there's the current process, there's the transition, there's the new process. That transition is going to be an interesting thing, because maybe if we were creating something new, it would be much easier than trying to help make sure everyone survives through this. And I just want to point out that it might mean a little more spending in a transition than once you get there, because you don't necessarily want to end everyone's grant and then have rolling deadlines, and someone might be out there for 6 months not getting a grant, and that could be damaging to the stability of an existing organization. So we have to think through that. I don't think the county executive is sold on the idea that there would always be a time limit, like you can only be a recipient for 4 years, 5 years. Because some organizations might need long-term. They might function in an area where there's not going to be private support or other governmental support. And I think he is concerned about mandating matching approaches, because for some, we might want to think about making sure we partner with the recipients to how they might go out and fundraise themselves, where they might find sources of funding, but we may not always want to predicate our funding on the fact that there be outside funding, because in some cases there may not be any outside funding, and not, or putting a requirement that there be some sort of match could be a barrier that a small organization may not be able to accomplish. That might be solved by saying, if the grant level is over a certain amount, then it has to have a match. If it's under a certain amount, if you're a new group, whatever, we might resolve that some ways, but I know that's a concern of his, that we don't want to mandate a match and push a good service away because they are unable to find money elsewhere, because if they could find money elsewhere, they may not be coming to us in the first place.
That's an important perspective. I'd add one thing, that I think if we were proactively seeking, for example, federal grants, although under the current administration there may not be as many of them as there used to be, but this current administration won't be around forever. So I think that there is an opportunity cost to not more proactively thinking, and I think this office would be in a better position to seek those funds, which could then help pay for some of those potential costs on the front end and expand our array of services. So that's it for now, Madam Chair, and I'll probably have more questions later. Thank you.
Thank you. I will add that, we will be adopting, of course, the racial equity and social justice legislation. So I think that in terms of how do we, predicate anything that we're doing, there's always going to be that lens. I think that's going to be super important in how you define outcomes. I think that particular legislation will address this issue of how do we actually describe that, because it is going to be different from a very well-established organization to a small one, how you assess what outcomes are, depending on where you are and where you're starting, and it's such an important conversation. I'll also add that, the Children Opportunity Fund, and we talked about that, Carolyn. When I first proposed that, it was really for it to be a place where we could practice how to really come together and have a template for where we could leverage outside funding with the money that we're utilizing, really with an eye towards a dedicated funding stream for early care and education. And so I do believe, and this is why I brought it up, this needs to be part of this, because a lot of work has already gone into that. And the model of the governance model was really based on the Kennedy Cluster Project model. And so we have already some practice with some of this. But I personally don't want to be super prescriptive, because I think what all organizations should be hearing, which is what I used to pay attention to when I birthed an organization, a nonprofit organization, I had to grow it. a lot of these things are not set in stone. We've arrived at a process that is not necessarily very intuitive. And at least from my experience in the past, when I was running this organization, certain organizations knew and certain, ones didn't. And I was mentored, But I got to tell you, there are a lot of small organizations right now that don't seem to understand the process either. So, I agree with you that we're not starting from scratch, so we have to be super careful of how we don't interrupt and somehow inadvertently affect negatively. But at the same time, we are responsible for making sure that we are perfecting this process so that everybody can see themselves reflecting and be able to participate. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to put that, caveat in there because I think that we're really focusing on the broad aspects of it. And then once we kind of land on that, then we'll have to have conversations about how you guys are going to operationalize all of this and making sure that you don't, disrupt anyone. Vice President Katz.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. First off, Carolyn, congratulations on tackling this. This is really something that we've needed to do. I think all of us agree that we needed to do it, and you're the one who's really bringing this home for us, and I believe this is going to work. And Rich, congratulations to you and the county executive as well, because early on, and I know he did, even while he was sitting on this side of the street, he realized that this was a system that needed to be changed, and that we needed to change it as quickly as we could. In many cases, the work that this is paying for is core work. It's very necessary and important work, obviously. But it's not work that the county does, but the county would have had to do it if it weren't for these wonderful nonprofits. And we need to be able, who actually do it in many ways, much more efficiently and much more effectively than the county could anyhow, and they work with a population who they already know. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel at all. And I think that has to be we have to be reminded of that all the time. But it has always bothered me since I've been here that for the nonprofits to have to sit in the audience on May the whatever day we're voting on the or announcing what grants they'll be receiving, they're sitting in the audience waiting to figure out what they can have for their own budgets for July, 2 months later or whatever. And there's no real way they can plan for it because they don't know how much. And in some cases, this literally is their lifeblood. So it's been a horrible system all along. And I think this is one way that we can make certain that it doesn't remain a horrible system for them. And I do understand that, and you've already talked about it, but the designate who's going to work on it from county exec side, we need to make certain that there's good communication to everybody can actually get this done. I appreciate the timeline. I think it's reasonable. I think it's believable, and I think it's realistic. And I think that because it's set out that way, and because we have a timeline, it's going to keep everybody. There's a big circle here, but everybody's feet to the fire that we're going to actually get this done. We can't say, well, next year, this is really tight already. Next year we're going to get this. No, we've already said this is what we're going to do. And so I think that's just great as well. I've always discussed, or many times have discussed, even when I was with Gaithersburg, that I really believe that for the smallest nonprofits that we should have some sort of a grants writer that the county pays for that would help the smallest nonprofits who can't afford a grants writer to actually get additional grants beyond what the county would be helping them with, or the state or whoever. But if they can get that much more funding and help that many more people and not have the county have to do all the funding, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think there is money out there that we, quote unquote, leave on the table because nobody's asked them. So, I think that's something that we should look into. I think it, in the long run, and maybe even in the short run, would save us a lot of money and would help a lot of groups. And I do, Rich, you pointed this out as well, and Carolyn too, but I agree one size does not fit all. There are organizations that year after year receive funding from Montgomery County, and year after year they need the funding from Montgomery County. And going back to the first things that I was saying is that the county doesn't do the work. If the organization wasn't there, the county would have to do that work. And rather than the county do the work, we're paying somebody else to do it. And I don't believe there should be in every case. In some cases, there might be, saying, we're going to give you a 1-year grant. This is going to be the seed money, see what you do and all of that. But there's some organizations that they're doing their work, and we need to not put a time frame on them, and so that they can continue to do the work that we need to do. I'll tell you, Montgomery County is blessed in a lot of ways, but our nonprofits probably is one of the greatest blessings we have. And for us to keep them whole and to keep them viable is probably one of our greatest jobs. So I congratulate both of you and thank you.
Yes, of
Madam Chair.
course.
So, and I know Ms. Buckland is here, and I know HHS has probably the greatest involvement with our grantees. So I'm worried I'm going to say something and she's going to be behind me saying.
Look,
Although I don't think she would ever do that to me. But
I'll hold up a mirror.
oh, okay, good. So, but as we've worked through some of these issues internal in our conversations, there's been a lot of conversation about, let's move some groups to the base budget, so that they're set, they're not going through this whole process every year, which has a great degree of stability for grants and a predictability for the recipients and predictability. On the other hand, as I'm sure Councilmember Albornoz can tell you, when you're in the base budget, you can be at the mercy of something called a savings plan. And the money that you thought you were getting isn't necessarily there. So how we do contracts, we have to think through, and that's why I'm both glad and, of course, also concerned about legislation. But obviously, we have to deal with procurement and what we're doing with, is this a contract? Is this a competitive contract? Is this a grant agreement? And so in some cases, I've been saying to people, be careful what you hope for, because you think getting into the base budget is going to be that you're great nirvana, and then that could wind up posing a different set of risks that you don't have now in the way that we do grants. So, and then there's thank you again, Madam Chair, for coming back to the outcome conversation too, because we have to be careful what outcomes we can expect of somebody, because we can't expect someone working on food insecurity to end hunger in our county, but we have to make sure when we do make metrics that they are both valuable, they're saying something of importance so that you can judge performance, but they're not unrealistic to what nonprofit could ever deliver on some of the issues. So working through that in general, as we have that larger conversation about all outcomes, is going to be very an interesting challenge for all of the, whether it's in a grant agreement or a contract or both, that we work out with these different organizations.
Thank you for saying that. And, the risk of us sounding so old, back in the day, there were emerging issues that were small in number and scale that now are just pretty much part of our mainstream sort of issues in the county. So to me, I think that it's not just about, put it in the base budget, but I think there also needs to be a degree of examination of particular grants that have been going on forever, that are responding to issues that are now mainstream, that we may have to think through whether we need to own those, right? Versus just kind of farming it out to nonprofit organizations there, because I think that it crowds the opportunity for resources to be available to address emerging issues, right? But if you've got, organizations providing certain type of services for 30 years, right? These are not emerging issues anymore. These are not like the kind of things that we shouldn't be, as a government, also trying to figure out, wait, is it time for us to kind of, be providing those services for our residents? So I think that's also what I like this phased-in approach, because it gives time to also do that kind of assessment versus automatically just saying go to the base budget. More about, is this program design still a 2019, program design, or have we kind of dealt with that already and are just continuing to treat it like it's just new?
And breaking it from the budget cycle,
right,
so that it's not just once a year, exactly, but it's an ongoing thing, can help with those conversations.
Right. Exactly.
Because I think it does get lost in oh my God, we're also dealing with $5 billion of other spending, and you've got to pick where you're going to spend it, pick and choose your time, and this will hopefully allow for a better conversation about outcomes and about doing just what you said.
Councilmember Friedson.
Thank you to all the comments that have been made. I think I agree with much of what has been shared. Ms. Chen, thank you for the report and for all the work that you've put into this. And Senator Madaleno, thank you as well for the thoughtful way that we're all approaching this, and the collaborative way that we're all approaching this. When I was running for this seat, I was asked at a forum, what's the best thing that Montgomery County does and what's the thing that we could do better? I'll leave the thing we could do better for later, but I said the best thing that we do is we partner really well with nonprofits to provide services that, as Councilmember Katz mentioned, we otherwise wouldn't be able to provide, or we certainly wouldn't be able to do as efficiently and as effectively as our nonprofits do. I think this is one of the real great things that we do, but the process with which we do it needs work. And I think that's why we're here today. And so I think, as everybody has said, I think it's really important that we don't diminish the great asset here that we have, this partnership with nonprofits to provide support largely for some of the most vulnerable people in our community, but that we find ways to enhance and build upon it and improve it, and to do it in a more institutionalized and formalized way so that it's clear and it's consistent for everybody, and that we communicate that clarity and that consistency so that all of our stakeholders, the communities that they're serving, the organizations who are serving them, and all of us in county government are all on the same page. And that's where I think we could do better, and that's where this packet really is starting to hone in on. And so I think that this is not the end of that conversation. This is maybe the midpoint of that conversation, but I think it's a conversation that is desperately needed, is really important. I just want to make sure that we don't lose the aspect of this that I think is the most important, that what we do is really good, and we can do it even better, and we certainly can fix the process and improve upon the process that we do it. I think that the idea of having a grants office is a really interesting idea, and I like the thought of that. And Councilmember Katz's thought of like a grants navigator to serve, an outward-facing grants navigator. I mean, I've always thought of the grants office as it's been proposed as an inward-facing grants office that serves county government, but I think it's a really interesting idea. Having been around nonprofits and served on boards and chaired boards of nonprofits that are very heavily involved in the grants process, it's a highly specialized business. Usually the grants writer or grants writers are the most valuable people at the organization, the hardest people to replace, because it's such a specialized field. And so for our smaller nonprofits, this is a huge challenge, and I agree. I think there's tremendous opportunity in bringing in somebody at a high level who really understands the state, federal, and foundation grants process. I think is a really terrific suggestion. I think that the idea of spreading it out to the point that you made, Senator Madaleno, and the reason for the recommendation, Ms. Chen, I think is really important. I had a problem with how we take this all up all at once, and the amount of pressure that's put on everybody in county government during the budget process. It's literally the worst possible time to be adding a new layer of bureaucracy in a very stressful environment in its own right. And for organizations that are relying on this, to find out in June your existential funding for July 1, is a really, or almost June, is a really tough, to have 1 month to figure it out. And then right after the budget happens, I have now been familiarized with the storming of the hall to try to figure out how organizations are going to react to this, which isn't good as well. And I think, Senator Madaleno, to your point of some type of contingency fund, I think it was your suggestion from the executive branch. I think that's a good one too, because sometimes things emerge, but also there are challenges that come up, and to be able to have that thought process and flexibility, is important to be able to move forward. A couple things about that I heard, the idea of linking it to the policy priorities of the executive branch. I have a little bit of concern there. I think that the policy priorities, while they're really important, they're very broad and understandably broad for the executive branch, and I think they're focused on government. And I'm not sure, I would have to learn a little bit more of how those work, and I also think we should be careful of separating out the NDAs. My view is there should be one NDA with some very clear overarching policy priorities that are focused in key areas, but that has some level of flexibility within them. But I think within the recommendation that you were talking about, which makes a lot of sense, is having individuals who have expertise in those individual areas so that we don't have folks who are assessing the value or the efficacy of a particular program or idea that doesn't really have a subject matter expertise in that particular area. I've heard from many nonprofits of that challenge, that they felt like they were talking to a committee that didn't have subject matter expertise in their area, and it's hard to explain that and to understand that when these can be really specialized. The only other area that I would say is, there are many organizations that have been getting funding year in and year out, and we obviously want to make sure that we protect those. And to the point of them not having a timeline, a deadline, as the county executive also mentioned, and Senator Madalena mentioned on behalf of the county executive that he has concern. I also have concern with that, and my understanding, and maybe I misunderstood it, but that we were kind of separating these into two groups. One is in the 2-year contract-based budget approach, and the other is in the new emerging, new program ideas, new organizations, et cetera. And was it the intention of the recommendation that the 2-year contract groups that have been funded year in and year out, that they have an off-ramp that after a specific amount of time, 4 or 5 years, that they would no longer be eligible for those funds? Or it's just the other set of funds, the emerging groups, the new groups, that they would no longer be able to able to apply?
So we didn't set the multi-year. It should be, well, the initial discussion has been over 2 years. That 2 years is really fast in our cycle for the contracts, but the intention isn't to separate out organizations based on their performance or their legacy. The idea is to call these contracts what they are, which is contracts to deliver services. They're not grants. And once we move them out, then we can run a grant process, even if we don't have to, but this is just a 2-year transition in order to capture anything else that might have been missed out. So the idea is to shift the legacy community grants program over to multi-year contracting, because that's what we've been doing anyways. Call it what it is, so it's super clear, and then organizations don't need to apply every single year. And then as part of this transition, still run a competitive grants process off cycle, not for the same amount at all. I think what's important to note is that everything in here is meant to be cost neutral. There should be no additional cost to run this program, let alone set up an office when we have these funds to use. It says in the last page, in additional discussion points on page 4, the actual investment in funds should be put into technology and infrastructure over at DTS and procurement, because this does not mean anything if the system that we use right now countywide is still paper. So if there's any cost to this, it should be there.
Infrastructure.
Yeah, infrastructure, technology. We have a procurement system that's paper, and so what's happened is the decentralization of these applications. Our system is 100% online. However, that's only been in the last couple of years. And what you'll see is every department might have it online, might have paper. We don't know. It's a different platform, all of that. So that will cost money. But in terms of shifting this in this 2 years, that should not cost an additional dollar. So, and no one should lose, because we are just taking a process and we're shifting it to a 3-year contract.
And so when we shift to the contract, is the idea that eventually we shift to the contract, and then
What happens after that?
who is assessing those? How is it?
So it's now going to be underneath, so all the review that's happening in September, starting September, will be with the departments during the budget cycle, reviewing their budget and their priorities as well. So when the 3-year contract comes up, the contract monitor, the department, and the organization will go through a review just like we do in procurement for any contract. So you go through a review based on the outcomes, and you have options. This is all separate contracts now. It's not one big group that says you can renew or not renew. It's done by department and contract, how many times that this contract is up for renewal, whether it needs to be longer, that extending that, but it's a decision that's made at the level based on priorities and with the right stakeholders there. So that's why there's nothing in this packet or in this presentation about specific cliffs or if this should be extended. We're doing this with the right stakeholders making that decision, which is the department and the contract monitors of these organizations and programs that have been around longer than I've been here for sure. So that's helpful. The competitive grants process isn't even just for emerging, we're not even saying just these organizations, just new ones or anything like that. We just don't want to lose, and we're going to be taking a year off, right? We're going to take the decision, figure out the priorities this year, and then run a year-round process. The idea is just to capture over the transition before there's a centralized grants office. We don't lose any momentum in terms of keeping the nonprofit community together and consolidated in this process. If we do not run any annual grants process during this transition, you will lose a lot of services and support that we need to keep plugged in as a county. But again, not only does the infrastructure in terms of funds have to be invested in, also on page 4 in the footnote 13, that's where we list all of those organizations that we were talking about that need to be part of this collaboration with the grants office. Collaboration Council, I've got them all, Arts and Humanity Council and alpha order. If you want to look at that and make sure that if there's any organizations, external agencies that are partially or not partially funded by us are involved, just let me know. These were just the ones off the top of my head, and they all link to their website. So the idea is this is not set in stone, but we need to be realistic in terms of the timeline on what this needs to get done. But I know for this process, no cost, but we do need to upgrade our system for sure, because this will only take us so far.
Thanks.
So,
Yes.
if I may, when you go to a system, and I should say what Ms. Chen is presenting to you is a vision to go through. This isn't an agreement that we have. Okay. So when you go to a contract, that sort of system, you got to think through for these. The nonprofits have to think through. All right, here we're going to have a contract. If you have a contract and there's an end to the contract, is it open up for total competition to go through? I mean, what does that RFP process look like? Is it, a 3-year contract with a 3-year renewal or a permanent renewal? Or, this is a fundamental change to the way we've been doing it. It might be better, but it could have consequences that are unforeseen right now, both politically and for the organizations, and that's why.
Right. That's at the core of this process. I mean,
Yes.
if we were confused that there's not going to be some kind of, political or, then we would just maintain everything the way it is. But the bottom line is that there are major issues with the way things are right now. And so I do believe, and I go back to my experience as an executive director and founder, my organization at that time, we had contracts and we had grants, and then we had our private funding, so obviously, the administration is going to have to figure out the terms of the contract and whether at some point it is competitive. Now, if you're in an organization that you're really doing work in a niche area that you're the expert, most likely you will be, awarded that contract just out of that type of, scenario. But I do think that, outside saying let's just leave everything status quo, there is no doubt there are going to be some organizations who have been providing the same exact service under a grant regime for decades, should not that be part, in a contract base? But your point is very well taken, and I think we understand that, and it's going to have to be done, I think, in a thoughtful and transitional type of way, so the organizations can kind of know that this is coming in and can adapt to that.
And I certainly appreciate what Councilmember Friedson was saying about the NDAs and whether you don't want it by the outcomes. I think just trying to come up with the idea that the policymakers' decisions between you and the county executive should be, where do you want the money to go? And whether it's by outcome or you say, 10% of the money this year will go to homelessness programs, whatever. But that it's that sort of direction as to where you want the money to go by issue. And that's.
I guess I have a little bit of concern about that. Personally, I think we should set policy areas where we want the money to go, but picking and choosing a specific dollar amount to a specific issue, to me, is a little bit challenging because, we can say, senior services, respite and most vulnerable, caring for the most vulnerable. There are certain areas, food insecurity. There are certain areas that are like core areas that we focus on that we know would cost us a lot of money to do. And we have organizations that come up with really great programs to do this. After school programs. New immigrant. Serving the immigrant community, a huge community for us. There are certain areas like that, but picking a specific dollar amount and saying this has to go to this has to go to that, I'm a little bit uncomfortable with that. I think we should set policy areas that we would like the money to target, but picking one over the other, to me, without evaluating the specific areas, you should have to check a box of what problem you're solving that we see as a priority area for the county, but having a specific amount to a specific area, I'm a little uncomfortable.
That's why I would say the analogy would be, there's money for the arts, we pick a certain amount of money that goes to the arts, we pick a certain amount of money that goes to McHale, for example, to distribute.
But we don't say dance and fine arts, and we allow some level of flexibility there to determine what it is, and I think legislating that at the start of the process, to me, is a little too prescriptive. I think we need to be more prescriptive perhaps than we've been now, but I don't want to solve one problem and create a new one.
Right, no, and I think we're getting way ahead of ourselves, because before we get there, we need to, no, I appreciate that. But I think, first we need to sort of signal that we're going to approve or, go ahead with certain parameters, and then we're definitely going to have to get into that sort of more, in the weeds area. I don't think we've ever really done that, but we have identified policy areas, but I'm sure we'll get there. Councilmember Joanna.
Thank you very much. I didn't want to cut ahead of anybody, but.
No, I've got a list here, and I have it by order, and I've been peeking, and I've been tracking when the light came on and when the other light,
Pleasantly surprised.
Oh, well, there you go. There's always a first time. There's always a first time. There you go.
All right. Thanks, Carolyn, for this. And I know this has been a labor of love for you, so we're glad to be making some progress. Couple of questions. Do you envision, and either one of you can respond, a streamlined application process for that would be, will council grants and executive grants exist in the future and under 3.0? I think I know the answer, but could you answer that question?
Council executive and county council grants will not exist under 3.0. We also won't even be using the same online grant system, as DTS has told me it's not ADA accessible. So that is another reason why we need to upgrade our countywide infrastructure so that they don't build a website just for me, although they will. And the other question about streamlining the application, part of our discussions, this is just our concept, but there's been many detailed discussions, and one of the ideas, which is already done, this is super easy, a common app right? Just like when you apply to college, a Common App, we get the same base information about the organization. It's been verified by the department that already verifies it. Right now, we have over 5 departments that would need to check the exact same information that an organization submits, and that organization probably submitted it 5 times as well. So what we want is if you have a central vendor system or procure anything, you have the core information. We have a common grant questions for the county grant, and then when you pick it, and Montgomery College has a great system already for scholarships, when you pick it, you've got your customized questions underneath there. So, and that's something, like I said, more important to invest in for the future than in the next 2 years. We really need to move away from paper.
Yeah, definitely. Not only is it environmentally sound, it's cumbersome, and that would mean that. And it also makes it easier for the applicant, right? And to know, for example, we traditionally have had more requirements for additional information that needs to be submitted as opposed to the executive grants, and so that would also be streamlined. And we would figure out what all those things are. As we move to 2.0 to 3.0, so the next couple of years there would be a separate process in what you're laid out here, correct?
So the separate process it's under
Separate awards.
Yeah, right. So we haven't determined that, and again, we haven't even determined whether we should. The issue here really is there value that we're going to have in a year-round competitive grants process where we actually have parameters about what we're looking for, outcomes we're looking for, and then parameters around the reporting around that and what we do. So what was proposed here is not to take away this process that has been annual, but instead just focus it off budget cycle, and so we have more time to determine what it is we're looking for, and that would be quarterly, just starting off as a quarterly process, but you can have multiple deadlines within that quarter, but the idea is to have it very clear what the deadlines and if you're eligible or not eligible, and a point person to go to in order to find out whether you are. So what's proposed right now is for this upcoming operating budget cycle, the county executive will send over a recommendation of how much we have in this NDA after we shift the legacy community grants to multi-year, and that was the initial budget that I was looking at of having the competitive grants process just for 2 years in the transition, and that would be implemented starting next July.
Got it.
But can I say,
Sure.
can I also point out that one of the things that, and I don't know when you walked into the room, so I don't,
Right
just in case you weren't here, okay, so I think that the idea that I think the executive would very much like to make sure that there is a small amount of money left for both the executive and the council to deal with emergencies so it may not be your traditional, is it a CE grant, is it a county council grant, but that there is that option that is out there for both you and for the executive to deal with situations that you were not thinking ahead
But
of
it
time.
doesn't have to be under grants. I just want to be clear about that. This is, if there is discretionary amount of funds that you need in your offices or in your branches, that doesn't have to be under this process. That it can be done outside of it. We aren't the only ones that do things here. I'm sure of that now. We represent 15 million contracts for nonprofits. That federal and state is 200 million. So if there is a need for an emergency fund, like Arts and Humanities has one for theirs, it doesn't need to be underneath the competitive grant process.
And one of the things to that point, I did hear that. I think it's a good idea to have that emergency fund as well as have a central grants office eventually. And I think those are all things we're swimming in the right direction. It's always troubled me, the disparity between council award grants and county executive awarded grants. I've never really got it. Two co-equal branches of government. And if you look at 2015, it's gotten worse over time. There were $3 million awarded by the council then, and 5.5, and then you've seen a 60% jump between now and then for the county executive, and a 20%, only up to 3.5 million for the council. And our numbers of what we've been able to fund it have gone down too. So I would, while I love the promised land of 3.0 where it's one process and it's all together, I think in the interim, I'd love to see this changed where it's a little more equitable between the priorities. And I may be alone in that view, but it's always seemed to me not to make a lot of sense. And I think that would be, there's a little chart in the old OLO report that lays all this out. Could the budget director comment on that? Is he feeling equitable today?
I don't mean to be difficult, because the way I'm understanding this is this all goes away.
Correct. Yeah,
So that
there's a
it'll be very equitable. It's all going to go to the grants office.
So next year we won't. So we won't even have it in the 2.0. Oh, great. So then we are feeling equitable.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Well, it's going to go to a grants office. I mean,
When you have one. Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you
Well,
have,
a
when you have one, it's going to go to a grants office,
Yes.
and
Yes.
It was actually, Councilmember Joanna, that was one of the main reasons why this conversation began in this work, because every year we would write that into the budget language, and every
be
year
ignored.
it would come and we would be like, are you kidding me, right?
Right.
So that was part of it. It's like, well, why do we go through this exercise? Why don't we just have one grants process and identify the priorities, you know?
Perfect. So I
just to remind the viewing audience, this wasn't a conversation with me.
No.
Okay, I'm just pointing out that I know all of you know that.
No, got it.
That's
Well,
correct.
that's good. So we'll even transition away from that
Yes.
next year,
Yes.
assuming we agree upon all the intermediate steps. And
Yeah.
Good. Perfect.
Agree on this slide, and then we're
Then
good
we
to
can
go.
then we can move forward. All right. Well, I'm excited. I think this is long overdue. Last thing I'll say, as we switch from the paper, the level of transparency and analysis within the grant. I know that will expand when we have more capacity, but we've talked about this. The ability to give a fair shot to new organizations, to know who they are, what they're doing, where they're serving, and not have a guessing game of trying to figure that out. And as you're sorting through all the paper, I know the electronic system will presumably help with that, but I just think that's a critical need for us to make, whoever's making the decisions, but also for the public to know exactly the capacity and where the money's going.
Yeah, I think what's also important in our, and I won't go back to the slides, but the idea of engaging the community directly, and we have to do this not differently, but we have to add different ways of channels of communication, right? So a couple of our workshops this year were in the communities, in their place. We went to them. That has to continue. Now we can do it year round instead of over a month. The site visits need to continue. It's very important. It's important to see what's going on, hear from the people. And an online grant system is great. That's easier to fill out when it needs to be easier. So I think there's opportunity now to increase the capacity of ourselves as a county government to provide that information in a better way. The only thing that I could do that I saw that's been done online is I had a webinar. It was recorded. I posted on the website and you can see it 24 hours a day. These are simple. These are free. To do. And if we do that, that's why this 1-year, 2-year transition of making sure that's the charge. Like, get out there, talk to them, figure out who they are, collect the information, make sure they have access. I'm trying to get DTS to let me have one website for grants instead of 14. Yeah, so just simple things like that cost no money. I agree. We don't want to lose the outreach, because I know there's an entire community of organizations that are coming up every year. We have even more, and those that historically have not been able to access this process and or even know how. And if they know that we're serious about changing this, I think maybe they'll let us in and give a little quick presentation.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Those things do cost money. It does.
It
You want to
didn't
create
cost
a
me any
new.
money. It didn't cost me any money.
And we have community partnerships. We've got PIOs in every single department. We have a lot of money that we have added to the budget year after year to do community outreach. So I think it's a matter of making sure that now we have this. So you have a lot of capacity, and that's all I'm going to say.
No question, but there.
Yeah, that's already. Well, I need to move
Well,
to
I just want to
Councilman
say
Rice.
that I think it should be stated that would actually be a supplemental appropriation, the added to money. It's not just that it would be a continuing grant, right? Process? Yes? No?
could be. So this is the thing, it's no longer all one box or one framework, right? It's based on the stakeholders that part of the review. So the department determines, is this a service that we need to have in our base budget, or is this a service that we want to contract out? And so that decision is made individually, customized to the service. It's no longer saying every community grant that applies, 492 we got last year, is all eligible to get another renewal. We can go into the weeds and the details by starting literally 7 months earlier.
For emergencies.
Yeah, for emergencies, yeah. Mhm.
Councilmember Rice.
So it's interesting, because as I look back on our conversation about two-year budgeting and about the ultimate savings in staff time, things like that are associated with this new grants process. It truly is one. I mean, I just think about the amount of time that Carolyn spends. Every time a person comes in my office and says that they want to learn about the grants process, I say, go sit down and talk to Carolyn Chen. And she opens up her doors and does that. And then they also would go over to Chuck Short, which I would also say, make sure you go over and talk to the county executive and sit down with them. And so we're doubling up on all of this in terms of staff time as well as expense and processing. And so there's going to be cost savings associated with doing things this way. And I hope that we try to quantify some of that. We won't be able to do all of it, but it truly is a great advantage for us. And I think that, again, one of the things that I always, and when I talk to folks, and to the council president's point, this has been a long time coming. Oh my God, this has been a long time coming. One of the things that I continue to talk to folks about, because there would continue to be a stoked fear about, and it's something that you said, Director Madaleno, when it comes to savings plans. Well, savings plans affect everybody, regardless of whether you're in a grant process or whatever the case may be. I mean, we can make adjustments all the time, anytime. And so truly, if we're in a bad fiscal place, that's going to happen and people are going to get hit anyway. But the reality is that when I look at, I mean, I just looked at our last savings plan in terms of percentages. The percentages that went to nonprofits and grants was basically almost nothing. I mean, it really came out of our large heavy hitters, MCPS, a lot of our larger departments, and we didn't even take all of the savings when it came to fire and safety. So I really don't want to put out there and kind of have the flames fanned about, oh, well, you run the risk of being a part of the, base budget, and therefore you're going to get hacked as a result. I mean, look, if you have a $100,000 grant from us, even if you were to lose 3%, right, we're talking about $3,000 out of a guaranteed $97,000. Folks will take that any day. The conversations that I had with nonprofits over and over again, the certainty of being able to say that, look, yeah, my flexibility might, so let's even take 5% and say that, my flexibility may wane 5% over these next 2 or 3 years is much more an assurance than what they had now, because now they didn't know. I mean, when I look at a lot of our nonprofits this year who came in my office after, and we had a really tough time with our grants this year. The process was in flux. We had new administration who was trying to pick up where the county executive had left off, and promises that were made and weren't able to be fulfilled. Not the county executive Elrich's fault. I mean, it's just a transition period. And so from that perspective, who had to make adjustments? They won't see something like that. We won't have a savings plan that bad. And if we did have to, you're going to get hit anyway. So I don't think that we should have that as a part of the conversation, just realistically moving forward. It is about, sure, you're going to have some of those, ups and downs that are associated with being a part of government from a contracting perspective, but that's no different from anybody else. I just wanted to close by saying one thing that's incredibly important to me, and that is that folks will now be able to see this as one entity, which should have been all along. I mean, there is no reason why it should have been that I go to mom for some and I go to dad for some other. And it really is one that's frustrated so many people for so long. And just having one process to where I can go and say, I'm justifying why this is important to the county, what the vision is that I want to have, and making sure that that comes to fruition and a decision is made, and that's the decision. is such a beautiful thing. That is what we envisioned when the council decided to step away from this process and say we wanted to create a council grants advisory council, was because of that. We didn't want to try and play favorites. We didn't want to have mom and dad and go ask mom, because dad said no. We don't want that anymore. And this is really leading to that. And I see you nodding your head because I know you agree. This is going to be something that is going to move us light years forward and is really going to give a lot of certainty to a lot of folks. I think that from what I've heard over the course of the 8 going on 9 years that I've been a part of this council, there was so much uncertainty with the grants process that didn't enable folks to really do as much in terms of innovation, and they were so focused on just trying to protect and retain. And this is going to give them an opportunity to do that. And that's a big deal for us. And so we'll be able to measure a lot of that as well, I think, with how we now restructured this program. So I'm just really happy and elated. I agree with everything that everybody has said before. Thank you, Madam President.
Awesome. Councilmember Glass.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good conversation, thoughtful, deliberate presentation. A lot of time I know has gone into the process that you've just presented, and so I sincerely appreciate that, because adding to the chorus of people who've gone through this process or have run nonprofits, there was a point in time where I served as executive director, program director, and grants writer at the exact same time. And I appreciate the metaphor that Councilmember Rice said, asking mom and asking dad, maybe asking 2 dads, whatever the situation might be, asking multiple parents, 2 moms, right, whatever it is, just begging, really. And so I'm glad that process is changing. And I'm quite frankly glad that we're removing the politics from the process. And I don't think it had actually been said that way by anybody today, but that's what we're doing. Because the politics should not be in this process of doing what's right for all of our citizens, doing what's right for our nonprofit community, and doing it in a fair and just manner. But having gone through this process for a number of years, I know that we're at the conceptual stage now, but I want to drill down on a few details. The 3-year cycle that's being proposed, does that mean that the dollar amount is being locked in during those 3 years?
No, it doesn't. It's no different than any procurement contract we have. This is what we are projecting. It's subject every year to appropriation. Yes. So it's not a hardened, it's like our budget's still every year. So this is more of a contract as we do in procurement that's over a year, and it's subject to appropriation still every year.
So that would then leads to my next question about priority areas. So as there are allocations to those priority areas or percentages are devised, there might be more funding to those areas, or quite frankly, doesn't happen very often, but organizations shut down a program and there might be more funding available to recalibrate. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's actually more than that. I think when we consolidate these legacy community grants into multi-year contracts, I think we're going to find savings there. I think when you sit down and talk to organizations and talk about 3 years instead of up the coming year, we can really drill down on what do you need just general operating support instead of programmatic. So that's why this number is flexible right now. It was $14.5 million in total for operating and capital, but I really think with the right data, and if we start now, we'll be able to have savings to then use in different priority areas if that's the way we structure it. But again, the goal is not to expand this amount, because it's set right now, and not go over that.
But we also have to be very careful from a legal standpoint. Now you're talking about contracts and sitting down, some of our procurement rules may preclude what Ms. Chen just said. So that's why you have to figure out, okay, how do we carve out maybe a different conversation than we've been having with procurement,
Sure, and
with contractors.
And as my colleagues have heard me say on a few different instances, the procurement process that I went through for some of the grants I received was not the smoothest. And so bundling all that together or having that joint conversation, I think, is an important one. And regarding the priority areas, just to clear up some of the concern that had been stated, we currently do have priority areas within our grants. And I know that there's positive youth development and that there's food insecurity and a housing component. So I think there's two more, or have been. Can you just talk about that and how that's been formulated and is already standing practice?
So actually, prior to this fiscal year 20, we did not have priority areas. We had program areas.
Program
So it
areas,
was
okay.
based on, we said any program could apply. Any organization could apply for multiple programs. So the way we reviewed them historically prior to at fiscal year 20 was based on program area. And that's where there was no priority in terms of which program area was more important than the other. Just on a review basis, the basic need, homeless shelter, food, always made it to the top. Diapers made it to the top. So this past year, what we did as a council was add priority areas so that we could get different applications in. And we had disconnected youth programs, climate change, senior isolation, and then the fourth, oh my goodness, I forgot. There's a fourth. So then because of that, we were able to target communities, listservs in order to see those applications come out. So we had 110 new applications of programs than previously before because of that, because we set a priority.
Was the fourth the food insecurity? Was it that area?
No, that's a basic one. Yeah, that's basic need. Yeah.
Well, and I knew that year after year, some of them were consistent, which is why I thought they were priorities.
Yeah,
But
they're-
same concept in general. Okay. And then last question I have, you're talking about a grants office. What thought has been given to creating or farming out some of these priority areas to organizations, existing organizations like McHale and Arts and Humanities that are specialized? Has any thought been given to a positive youth development outsourced area and homelessness outsourced area rather than the one grants office?
Let me understand for a second. So you're talking about other contracts we have with Arts and Humanities Council as well as McHale, outsourcing some of the program or the applications or to them
Fair clarification, using them as examples, right, as clearinghouse, as grant authorizers.
Yes. So the idea of coordination now is that we can, it should be clearer to organizations as well as to the entities who's eligible and which source of funds that you're eligible to apply for. Right now, because we had such an open pot, we started mixing on whether or not a positive youth development program could only be supported in community grants, but the Arts and Humanities Council could absolutely support a positive youth development program from an arts organization. So
I'm aware of one or two.
Yeah, you are. And that was exactly what, and we had that preliminary list I gave out last year of, the ones that crossed over and that we needed to have a clear process for it. And if the issue is funds, that other entities do not have enough funds to do that, then we need to remedy that, which we did last year, this last budget with the Arts and Humanities. So the issue of bleeding over into other county funds or NDAs was based on need. And so we need to adjust that number and make sure that there is adequate amount of support for the type of programs that are out there.
And last question, clarification, just to drill down on that point. The proposal is to keep all of this within county government. It's not to send some of these funds to another nonprofit like McHale or Arts and Humanities.
Exactly, right. Historically, this process has been all funded county funds, so there's no need to spin us off as a nonprofit to raise money.
Yeah.
Exactly. This should and this should also not just focus on the $15 million that goes to community grants. This idea is to bring this in-house, inward and outward facing, and actually leverage more than $200 million.
Okay. good work. I'm looking forward to seeing 2.0, 3.0, and the like.
So I think it's important to note, and you started your comments by saying about taking politics out of this. I would say politics, you and I might agree with this, politics are not necessarily a bad thing. Just to be clear, by moving this, by removing the politics of this, I think you do want a say in where the money is going to go. You may not want the say as in it's going to go to this nonprofit, but I think you all, with the county executive, you are out and about with the community all of the time. I see your Facebook and Twitter posts all the time. That I think you want, you know there is a need in this area, and I think you would want to provide direction, however that comes. I was thinking from the terms of setting a percentage. I recognize there is a consequence to that because a floor can be a ceiling, so I totally get that. But I think you want to be able to say, we want some of this money to go to this. And I think that's a very important policy direction that has to remain with the council and the executive and not just be left to a grants office or other people who are involved in making those decisions.
And I appreciate, I don't know if it's a rebuttal, but I appreciate that comment for the simple fact that as presented, it seems to me that weighing in is within the priority areas. As it currently stands, the executive and the council, to varying degrees, have been able to pick winners and losers by the simple dollars that have been given, less so giving to general priority areas where I think is the more appropriate place for us to weigh in. And that's where the politics ends.
Right, and I don't think we should remove ourselves from the policy piece. I mean, we have, some sort of strategic areas that we have agreed upon, and I think that would remain. It's just this whole notion of specifically picking which organization should be doing what that, that we're trying to avoid. Councilmember Albornoz.
As a former legislator, I want to make sure that you are engaged in that
we're not shy about.
I know, but I think
we shall continue to.
It's
absolutely.
very important.
Of course,
I think for that direction to be there and not assume, because I'd rather have it up front than have you be. At the end, the grants list comes out and you say, "What do you mean this area wasn't served?"
I think we will come up with a process. One of the things that also the GO committee, has discussed is this notion of a strategic plan. And, I've discussed and shared with my colleagues the idea of even establishing a strategic planning committee for the council, because, there has to be a structural way of getting to this. It can't just be, I really love X, and I love Y, and therefore it becomes a priority. It should be really part of a strategic plan in terms of what we're trying to address and how we're trying to address it. And that would inform that. So I think no doubt that we will definitely be involved.
Just final 2 points as we're wrapping up. Because so many of the issues will cross over into so many different committee areas, I think that this is such a great approach, the joint HHS and GO committee. And then, there's going to be areas that fall within recreation and parks. And so I think that to Councilmember Glass's final point and reinforced by our Madam President, it is really important that the council, since this will stay a county entity, then we will continue to have oversight to avoid some of those potential issues moving forward and not have situations like we're seeing with some third-party entities like Worksession Montgomery and some others now. So this is really good, I think, within this model. The next steps here are very important. We have a prominent and well-thought-out plan. Carolyn is an army of one, and it's remarkable what she's been able to accomplish on her own, but she cannot implement this without full cooperation and support and staffing support from the executive branch. So, Mr. Madaleno, who is going to be the lead from the executive branch to work with Ms. Chen on this? And who are the departments that will be involved that can provide some additional staff support on this as well?
So OMB is the lead on this. Mr. Waters, who many of you know, will be the lead person for OMB. I can't believe I approved the vacation for him during this hearing. So that's, or he was smart enough to see the agenda, put in leave before I saw it. So, but Josh would be the lead, and then we're already working with HHS, the CAO, the county attorney's office, and we have to bring in some of the other departments. Right now, we are trying to go through and kind of answer, in some ways, the questions that have come up with where is the money going by department, where is the money going by area, priority area, as far as the function, so that you can see sort of how the money is being distributed, so that when we have the conversation next year about where things are going, you have a way to gauge, like, well, we were putting a lot of money into this priority area. Is that where you want to keep it going for the conversation around direction? So we're trying to assemble all of that as if there's broad agreement between you with the executive to start to transition towards, as she put up on the slide, the operationalized, moving towards the long-time grant recipients and moving them into the base budget and that relationship. We're going to start that process. So, and that will obviously include a number of county departments that are part of, who have to monitor the contracts.
Right. So Mr. Waters will be the point person from the executive branch on a work group that will be formed, that will include the county agencies who are currently tasked with monitoring these contracts. And obviously, Ms. Chen will be the council representative on that group.
Because we've consistently worked with Carolyn and then Linda McMillan.
Okay.
As well.
Okay. And then there's a series of meetings already set up on the books to get us towards this goal without fail.
No, but we will.
Okay.
There are a number of things we're trying to pull off, as you know.
I know, and I guess that's where I'm going with this. I'm worried about the administration's bandwidth here. You've got 2-year budgeting, you've got a lot of ambitious goals here, and I don't want this to slip through the cracks. None of us do, obviously.
No. This is a priority for the county executive.
Okay.
To get this done.
That's what I need to hear.
Trust me, because I know he shared your frustration for years over here, so yes, and we got some very clear and helpful guidance from the council president about some of the issues that we've talked about. We'll be responding, but to try to provide greater clarity, and thanks to that conversation that we had last week, I think we have greater clarity about what we can and cannot pull off, and what you are interested in seeing us succeed, and how we might go about doing that in a way that has as little disruption as possible.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Chen, what exactly do you need from the Joint Committee at this point?
Just to reiterate, because this hasn't been said, Josh and I spoke actually yesterday and all this week. We have meetings set up. He's a lead for now from OMB, so we've already decided we'll meet. We'll start the data collection in August, and we'll reach out to the departments and see which ones we need to start with first. Don't know if we got to start with the big one or start with the small one. So as long as executive side, which I've spoke to Rich, Andrew, and Mark about, that they're okay, we can just go forward, then I know at least for this part of the transition plan, we can go forward.
Okay, and then so the points that you included in your memo, I think that I'm hearing without objection that we agree that this is a great direction, and so that you can proceed. Is that what I'm hearing from my colleagues?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just need a blessing.
All right. Councilmember Rice has one other issue.
I don't know if everything in this document we are ready to agree to.
Well, we are giving our nod that we like the direction. So as you go forth and try to work out the specifics, obviously we already have a date where we're gonna come back in here to see where where we're headed and how we're going to take it. So we just wanted to give a general sort of approval of the direction that this is headed and what are the issues that we'd like for you to work on. Hopefully you can agree on all of them. Councilmember Rice.
Just last but certainly not least, when it comes to our evaluative process, it's just going to be important that we also address this from an equity lens in terms of evaluation. And so I just wanted to be clear that for the millions that are watching at home, that they do understand that that's not lost in terms of, even though we will have policy areas, within each of those policy areas, we will still be looking at this from an equity policy and framework to ensure that we're addressing the greatest needs within each of those individual policy areas. So I just wanted to highlight that because it wasn't said, but it's incredibly important. I know, Madam President, it's a part of your framework that you're going to be shepherding us through.
Ms. Chen did made sure on page 3 that, and that is really critical because it takes away a lot of the sort of gray areas that we've had in the past, so we don't have to revisit that all the time. So, aligning the community grants process with racial equity legislation outcomes and tools, I think will also be very helpful, and I really appreciate you highlighting that as well. Oh, okay, Councilor Fitzy.
Yeah, just to reiterate, I actually think Senator Madalena raised some important points here, and my view of us moving forward is that I think all of those points have to be worked through of how we implement this, what the procurement looks like, making sure that these core services, particularly for the most vulnerable in our community who have long relied on this funding, that they have a full understanding of how this is going to work, and that we make sure that we don't lose the best parts of the current process, but we make improvements to the parts where we know are broken and need to be fixed. And so I am totally on board, and I think, my agreement with us moving forward and thinking that this is a good approach isn't because I don't think that there are a lot of important points. I think all of us recognize that there are some, as was mentioned by Mr. Albernaz, citing the council president's point, the devil is in the details. Now we got to flesh out the details. I think the points that you've raised are how do we work out those details. I also still have a lot of those questions, but I'm looking forward to us moving forward in the process and starting to answer them and figure out how we get there.
Thank you. And I do want to, again, thank our nonprofit partners. We are doing this actually to provide more clarity and to provide a better system. We're not doing this at all to look at, ways to save or to cut corners. But I think for a county of our size, I feel like it's almost like a level of maturity that we need to ensure that this process really corresponds to who we are, to our size, to our needs. And I have to say, Ms. Chen, I don't think there's anybody else more apt to be guiding us through all of this at this time. So I really do thank you, because I know it's not easy to pull this together. And I do appreciate you, Mr. Medellino, coming in here and getting knee deep into this, this whole issue. So thank you, everybody. I think with that, we are adjourned.
Very good.